Join me today as I talk through my spiritual journey and also give you tips of how to begin your spiritual journey. If this is completely new to you and you do not know anything about spirituality, then stick around. I'm going to be talking in depth about the techniques I've learned and what you can incorporate today to start on your spiritual journey. If you're just getting started, you might be wondering, okay, what is spirituality? And it is a really broad concept and it can mean different things to different people. Essentially, to me, it is all about connection to something other than myself, whether that is the universe or a higher power, and how I have that self-awareness and connection back to myself each day. Studies have shown that having a spiritual practice actually helps with your mental health. It can help to reduce stress as well. And I completely agree with this. When I meditate and journal each day, I definitely have a greater sense of well-being. I feel happier, I feel more excited about life. And these practices are so simple. You can really just get started today. You could do it in the next hour if you really wanted to. They're such basic practices, and I'm excited to share this journey with you today. And I do believe that spirituality is for everybody out there. It is not just for certain types of people. It doesn't matter what your background is. And you can get started really easily. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. I think when people hear the word spirituality, they think of temples, they think of going out to retreats, they think of things that can't be done in their own home. And I'm going to talk through exactly what I do. I've never been to retreats, I haven't visited any monks or temples or anything like that. One of the biggest misconceptions about meditation is that it is for certain types of people. And the truth is that meditation is for everybody. There isn't a specific type of person that should meditate. And I know a lot of meditation is associated with yoga, and I know that people are put off if they don't have a yoga practice, or they think maybe it's just for certain types of people. But the truth is that meditation is for everybody out there, and it is a skill. So just like with exercise or with an instrument that you learn or a language, you have to keep practicing and practicing it until you become good at it. And that's what takes time. And I think for a lot of people, they feel they don't have that time to invest in a meditation practice. They think they're too busy, they have a busy household. And those can be things that are obstacles. So if you have quite a busy household and you have a lot of children or pets and there's a lot of noise, yeah, it is probably going to be more difficult for you to find that space to meditate. But there is ways around it. There's things you can do to help if you are in that situation and you do still want to get started. I'll be giving some tips of how you can overcome those obstacles as well. With meditation, there isn't a wrong or right way to do it. Even if you have a practice that you think, oh, well, I just spent that whole time thinking about all the different things I need to do today, that was still part of your practice. And I think people need to let themselves off the hook a little bit with the skill of building up meditation, because it can be really difficult, especially if you're coming from a background where this is completely new to you, or you're just not used to sitting with yourself in silence. Even that on its own can be quite challenging for some people. People don't like to think too deeply and be aware of what their thoughts are, because that can be quite scary for a lot of people. So even the sitting down for 10 minutes part can be a challenge. You might also be thinking, okay, meditation, you need to be enlightened, you need to be already on that spiritual path to begin. But it's kind of a caveat, because you need to start the meditation and then you will find, okay, actually, now I'm on this path of spirituality and getting to know myself more deeply. And the word meditation actually means to become familiar with. And the reason for that is because what you're doing when you're meditating is you are becoming familiar with yourself, becoming familiar with what your thought patterns are, what are your normal behaviors. And it's that time to reflect that you get during the meditation. So let's talk about how you today can get started with a meditation practice. The first step is to find a conducive environment. And this means an environment that is quiet, that is somewhere you could go for a length of time, where you're not going to be disturbed, people won't be trying to get hold of you, and you won't have your phone switched on, you won't have all your notifications going. This is going to be an environment where you can go to fully switch off so that you can fully get into the meditation. This might mean a seat outside in your garden if that's somewhere that's quiet for you. It could just be that you go and buy a particular chair or a meditation cushion that you could use, and that's your designated spot to sit in while you meditate. It really helps to have a place that you go, because it helps with the habit formation of meditation. When you actually have a place that you know that's comfortable, that you can go, that's quiet. When there's lots of obstacles ahead of you before you could meditate, I think it puts a lot of people off. It is like any habit you're trying to build. Try and remove as many obstacles as you can to help you get there quicker. And having that designated room, whether it's a seat, a room, just a space that you can go, is always really helpful. And if you do have that busy household and it's loud and it's got lots going on, then you can do things like putting up signs on the door to say, do not disturb between this time and this time. You could also speak to your family members and explain what you're doing, and also why it's important for you to have that downtime as well. What I found really helps me is having a specific time of day that I will meditate. For you, it could be that you have that gap in the morning, maybe you have that gap at lunchtime, maybe it's in the evening. Whenever that is, just try to have a look at your schedule and see, okay, I've got this little bit of time here, and this might work for me to slot in my meditation practice. And when again you've got that specific time of day factored in, you've got a place to go, this is going to make this much easier for you to turn up for the meditation practice. The key with meditation is that it becomes a habit, and it's something that you're going to have to commit to. The results with meditation really come over time. I've been meditating for around 10 years now, and I started with an app called Headspace. And I also started with free YouTube videos as well. So if you're just starting out and you want to just kind of try meditation out, there's a lot of good free YouTube videos out there. And with those, you can just pop them on. I think a lot of them are 10 to 20 minutes. And Calm also do really good ones as well. Also Jason Stevenson as well, he does some really good, real long meditations, great for before you go to sleep. So I will put all those details in the description box below. So that's how I got started with it. To be honest, now I mostly use Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations, which I paid for off his website. I would say if you're very new to this and you are just a beginner, then try out those free resources first. I'm not sure if Headspace still do a free trial. They did many moons ago when I was using it. I don't tend to use that now, but it is still a great resource, and I think it helps you track as well. So it's got a bit of a tracker on there to see how many days of the week you've meditated, and that might just help you to get that commitment going. So the second tool on my spirituality journey has been journaling. When it comes to journaling, one of the most important things with it is that it becomes a habit. So try to set aside a few minutes each day just to write down your thoughts, your feelings, and your reflections of that day. You don't need to worry about your grammar, about how it looks on paper, because nobody else is going to read this. This is purely for you to help you process your day. And I find it really helps me to do this before I go to sleep. And I found that when I journal before I go to sleep, it really helps me have this really deep night's sleep that I don't normally get otherwise. And I think that's just because I've got all of these feelings out onto paper. And if you're worried about other people maybe reading your journal and things like that, you can always shred it afterwards, or make sure your journals are stored somewhere privately that other people can't get access to them. Another tip here is to just start small with it. You do not need to write a novel every day. You might just start out writing a few sentences, and then you'll find that it starts to flow a bit easier and you end up writing pages and pages. I know that's what's happened for me. I started out not really knowing what to write down, and then once I got started, I would write pages and pages and pages, and it became normal for me to have that flow. And I think once you start out and you just get used to the process of getting pen to paper and being honest with how you feel. And I think that's the key with journaling, is that you need to be completely honest and think that no one is going to read this. This is for your eyes only, and you can write down whatever it is you want. And I think that's a great outlet. And if you don't want to talk to somebody about how you feel, then just write it all down. Just get that all out onto paper. It is a great way of processing your emotions as well. What is quite nice to do is, if you do decide to keep all your journals entries, is that you can look back on them. So I have journals from years ago which I look back on just to see what my thought processes were a couple of years ago around different topics. And I can see now, when I'm reading it from a more of a distance, that actually I've changed a lot, that in that situation maybe I would handle it differently now. So it's a really great way of reflecting on yourself from many months ago, many weeks ago, and seeing those changes that you've made. One of the most profound experiences that I've had with both meditation and journaling was when I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I remember I had just really stumbled upon Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I began his Blessing of the Energy Centers meditations. And at the same time, I was journaling a lot, and I couldn't believe some of the things that were coming up for me. And that wouldn't have happened unless I had been meditating and journaling at the same time. And I think when you do these things both together, they really are such a strong practice. And the meditation helps to calm your body down, calm your nervous system down. And the journaling helps to help you reflect. So you can even use the journaling to reflect on your meditation practice and see, okay, how has it been going for me? How do I feel about turning up for meditation? And you really can journal on any topic. That's what's so great about it. And always have a notepad and pen with you, because you might just feel in the middle of the day that you need to get something out and write something down. I think it's really useful to always have that available to you. Through meditation and journaling, I've realised that I do have the power to respond to my thoughts in the way I want to, and I can show up for life how I want. And I think the more you reflect, the more you meditate, the more you actually get this self-awareness. And that's what this is all about. It's about becoming aware of yourself and your journey as well, because that's what all of this is. So with journaling, there is a few prompts that you can use to get started. So it's really important in journaling to include some gratitude. So what you can do is just ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? What have I got to look forward to today? What does my ideal day look like? So these would be ideal for your morning journaling if you choose to do it in the morning. If you were to do this in the evening, you could be asking yourself, what was great about today? What was the best part of today? What would I change about myself if I could do today again? And look at those reflections. So you've got a way of incorporating gratitude and a reflection into your journaling that really helps to give you that awareness of yourself. Also, as part of my spiritual journey, I went to see a medium, and people have got different misconceptions and beliefs around mediumship and connecting to the afterlife. And effectively, that's what you're doing with a medium. He is helping you to connect to people who have passed away. And I cannot rate mediumship highly enough. My experiences with a medium have been amazing. And 80 or 90% of what he has told me has already happened. And the information that he gave me about people who have passed away and about them connecting back to me in the reading were so profound that you couldn't have made that up. And I know there's a lot of, some people just don't believe in mediums and they think it's all fake and all of that. But for me, it's been a really big piece of my spiritual journey. And that's what's important in spirituality. For some people, it can be about connection, whether that's to people who have passed away. That can be connection back to yourself, back to your community. And it really is such a broad concept. But I wanted to include mediumship because if you're somebody who is struggling with grief or struggling just with connecting the dots in your life and not knowing what direction to go in, then seeing somebody who can help you on that, I think is great. And I've only had really positive experiences with the medium that I used. And yeah, it's crazy that the stuff he's told me has already happened, a lot of it. Some of it hasn't because it can be up to 5 years away. So it's quite interesting in the next 5 years what can happen. But he knew the names of people that I had worked with. He knew events, well, he told me events that were coming up that then happened, and even conversations that were going to play out with people that I were going to bump into. He actually could name those people, and then I did actually bump into them about 2 months later. So yeah, incredible experience. Would highly recommend mediumship. I think it really helps on your spiritual journey because it makes you realize that people who have passed away, they're still around. My granddad is around me constantly. He comes through the readings and he is a big part of my life still. I didn't really know him growing up. He died before I was born, so I didn't actually know him, but he's such a strong character, and that comes through in the reading. When the medium tells me, okay, this guy is a really strong character and he is around you a lot. He's here to support you and just take his love from him. So I can't recommend mediumship highly enough if that is something you want to make part of your spiritual journey. What has really helped me as well is reading different spiritual books. And there are so many out there, but the ones I recommend to start with is anything by Michael Singer. He is fantastic. And also Eckhart Tolle, if you look on YouTube, he has so many talks on there. And those two are just phenomenal in my opinion. They're some of the best out there on this topic. And the way they can just talk about the universe and the reason you're here is so profound, and it's just not something you're going to hear in everyday life. So I would definitely recommend tuning in to some spiritual teachers. A lot of them are on YouTube. If you're just getting started with spirituality, I would recommend the book, The Four Agreements. It is a fantastic place to start. It's not a very long book, but it can really help you just to open up that awareness to yourself. So my daily spiritual practices include journaling, which I'll do normally in the evening just before I go to sleep. Also meditation, which I normally do upon waking. I will do normally the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations because I'm in a routine with those now and I love those and I've always stuck with them for many years. And another thing that also really helps me is to get out into nature. And this could just be going to sit in a local glen or a local park and just have a small walk through. And that's without a phone, not listening to any music whilst I'm doing that as well. That really helps to connect back. And I think nature's really important. I know studies have shown that if you're out in nature for 40 minutes a day, it can actually help to regulate your immune system. It helps with your blood pressure. It helps with your whole body. So that is really important as well. I also love practicing yoga, and I'll do this on the off days when I'm not doing a workout. So I'll tend to do yoga every other day. And I use the Yoga with Adriene program on YouTube, and it's fantastic. Again, this is free, and I'm doing her flow program. So those are around 20 minutes long, so not long at all. And I love Yoga with Adriene. I think it's great. Some of the common challenges on your spiritual journey you might find is that other people are skeptical of what you're talking about, of what you're doing, and also the misconceptions around it as well. I know when I spoke to people about seeing a medium or practicing meditation, some people can just think, oh, this is a bit strange, and why are you doing that? And they start to question it. So that is completely normal. And don't forget, everyone is up to different stages in their life, and they're at different stages of their consciousness as well. So if you're more in tune with yourself and you're along your spiritual journey, then you're going to find that maybe isn't a load of other people around you that are also on that path. So you may need to reach out to groups and find a community of people who are also like-minded, who are also doing the same thing. You might not find that your family or your close friends are up to that same point with you and wanting to explore your spirituality. I would say don't let this put you off. Also, you don't need to tell everyone what you're doing and you don't need to inform them that you're starting this, because sometimes people can try to put you off, and that can just be a reflection of where they're up to personally as well. For me, to stay motivated on this journey, I find that the outcomes that I get from it keep me going. So as I've said, from meditation, I always feel excited is my normal response to meditation. That's just how my body processes a meditation practice. And I feel happier and I have more energy. So that's why I keep going back to that, because that is the result that I'm getting. And also from journaling, as I said, I sleep a lot better. So I think when you start to see a few little results from these practices, that helps with your motivation, that helps with you getting this to be a habit that you'll commit to and that you'll stick to as well. That's equally as important. Not that you do this for a week. This is a lifelong practice, a lifelong journey that you're going on with spirituality. So be prepared for the days where actually you're not motivated to do anything. That's completely normal. Looking back on my meditation and spiritual journey, I've realized how easy it was to get started. As I said, I used a lot of free resources. I used YouTube. I just got a pen and paper out and started asking myself, okay, what am I grateful for today? And that started me off on this journey. So it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You can start today. It can cost you nothing. All you need is the willingness to show up and get started on this practice. So I want to leave you with a few key pieces of information. Just to remember that journaling and meditation are practices. It is not a performance that you need to turn up to and do great at. It is just a case of turning up, trying it, and seeing how you feel afterwards. Ultimately, this is your spiritual journey, and you need to try different ways of connecting back to yourself. It's okay if your mind wanders. It's okay if you don't feel like doing it. Those are completely normal. The goal is just to keep going and commit to it, and in the long run, you will see results. Thanks for joining me today on my journey into spirituality for beginners. If you have tried meditation or journaling, please drop me a comment below. And if you want any other guidance on meditation, I do have other videos on this, which I will link below. I hope that helped you today, and have an amazing day.